Hello again. Welcome back to the Move Buff Reactions channel. Today we're doing another unusual suspect reaction. If you've been here long enough, you know when the suspect posts, I react. And today's video, like his new theme he's doing of covering many movies or projects in one. Today he's going to be covering Star Wars themed movies. More specifically, the made-for-TV Ewok-centric movies, which, according to the voting poll he put out shortly before the episode went up, not a lot of people have seen, and I'm in the minority of those who are actually kind of familiar with it. In fact, I still have the DVD I got for Christmas in middle school of these two movies, the Ewok Adventure and the Battle for Endor. And just a quick summarization of what I think of these. They were spin-offs of Return of the Jedi that were all about the Ewoks and a couple of humans who had crashed onto the moon of Endor. And they are TV movies, and they're working with limited budgets. But I remember, like, I knew when I saw them when I was young that these are not the greatest movies. Like, the budget limitations are there, and they could get pretty goddamn campy at times, but there was a charm to them, and the special effects range from enjoyably bad to kind of cool with stop-motion animation and matte paintings. And I just remember the Ewok Adventure. It was corny, but I could get into it as a young kid. And the Battle for Endor, as a lot of people who cover these movies have pointed out, is shockingly dark at times. The main thing I remember about that is Wilford Brimley was the lead, and Paul Gleason, the principal from The Breakfast Club, had a small role in it. But yeah, they were corny, but kind of fun. I come from a family of folks who have mixed feelings on the Ewoks, but I've always dug the Ewoks. I love them in Return of the Jedi, so I could get into it. And I'm really interested to see what the unusual suspect has to say, what he thinks, because they are, they're of an acquired taste, I guess you could say. And without further ado, let's watch.
Star Wars spin-offs. I think by now we're all familiar with them. And in
Actually, I haven't seen any of those.
Clone Wars, Mandalorian, Ahsoka, The Bad Batch, Tales of the Jedi, Star Wars Visions, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Fast forward!
A bit of an overload.
Forces of Destiny, and last but not least, the Emmy Award-winning Jar Jar's Kitchen Nightmares.
Oops. Still cooking in advance.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Now, I have talked about Star Wars spin-offs before, and not to toot my own horn, but I have been unintentionally prophetic about them. Back in 2016, I did a review for the Bounty Hunter PS2 game, where I said this.
Young suspect.
A Star Wars story coming 2022.
Shut up and take my money.
And look what we're streaming that year.
Fucking nailed it!
And then, in a previous video I made about Star Wars spin-offs, I said that the project that I wanted to see most was an Obi-Wan Kenobi one. And 5 years later,
more prophetic than The Simpsons.
I got my Boba Fett show and my Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and both turned out to be amongst the lowest rated Star Wars has ever seen.
Oh.
And to those who hate me even more, when I heard that Cassian Andor was getting a spin-off, I was like, really? That guy? Come on, nobody wants to see that. Make something else.
They'll do it on anything, it seems.
Fool this man!
Lesson Disney. Whatever I say, do the opposite. So yeah, Disney are giving into peer pressure a bit too much. Maybe fans like me are being too pushy. So tell you what, let's just
after Rise of Skywalker, I need a break from Star Wars.
Back in the 80s, he was the man in charge, and nobody was going to squander his vision. And in 1983, once Return of the Jedi hit theaters, George had a spin-off in mind. A brand new Star Wars duology. A couple of made-for-TV films that aired in 1984 and 1985 on American network ABC. Two films that, according to a poll I put out lately, many of you guys haven't seen. And
I'm in the small part there.
Although the reason for that likely stems from the fact that these are films about Ewoks. Okay. I'm gonna keep an open mind. I mean, sure, the Ewoks are the most divisive addition to Episode 6, and sure, the last time Star Wars did a made-for-TV movie that heavily featured hairy anthropomorphic creatures, we ended up getting this.
Yep. Holiday special.
But you have to remember, the next Star Wars project after the holiday special was The Empire Strikes Back. So going from shit to gold is apparently within Lucasfilm's capabilities. So let's
From time to
leave our
time.
preconceived notions at the door and look at these films as objectively as possible. Starting with Caravan of Courage and Ewok Adventure.
Yep.
Never thought I'd see a Star Wars project with the word caravan in the title. Personally, I prefer what the Germans did by calling this movie. Okay.
Good
D
God.
is German for the, obviously. But remind me, how many Germans speak English nowadays? You know what you did. So what exactly is the plot of Die Ewoks? Well, it's pretty simple. A family of spacefarers have crash-landed on the same moon of Endor we're all familiar with. The parents get captured by a giant beast known as a Gorax.
That was cool.
And the kids run into the Ewoks as they
Yep.
quickly befriend them and set out on an adventure to rescue Mum and Dad. So is this movie worth checking out? Well, it's for kids, and it is a bit drawn.
I liked it as a
and
kid.
not that entertaining by modern standards. But I will say this. I don't think it's nearly as bad as some people make it out to be. Yeah,
Agreed.
It was kind of refreshing to see a live-action Star Wars movie I've never seen before, filmed and edited as a 1980s picture would. Everything that can be
Wicked.
done practically is done practically. Shot out in beautiful forests and woodlands, excellent matte paintings, creature costumes as opposed to CGI, and there's even stop-motion work in this, which
Yeah.
admittedly is a little dated looking, but
It's fun. I love stop
and I
motion.
think from the perspective of kids who saw this back in 1984, I think they would have loved it. That being said, there are issues. Like, the acting is
If we don't help
Yeah.
them, they're gonna die.
not the best. I mean, with
Well-
the girl, I can look past her acting, because she's 4 in this. Seriously, the actress
didn't know
is
that.
young. And for a 4-year-old, I think she's actually pretty incredible, all things considered. But the boy is about 10 years older, so
Yeah.
I feel a little more comfortable talking about his acting chops. So how is he?
We just thought we weren't gonna ever see you guys again.
Okay, I think he might actually be worse.
Yeah.
His line delivery is strange, his timing is off, he's expected to turn on the waterworks in some parts and he just can't do it.
You're gonna need it.
You're an actor. Emote.
This isn't working. Bring in the onions. And it doesn't help how his character is, kind of a dick. First off, he has serious anger management issues.
Yeah.
For now. That's it, muttface.
Dude, you're yelling at Care Bears. Calm down.
Where is it? Better watch that. You nearly killed us. We need to go after her.
Yeah, that can get a bit grating.
Oh, and to add to this, the Ewoks actually go out of their way to save his sister's life by getting her medicine. And literally, in the very next scene, what does he say?
Stay here with these walking hairbrushes. Come on, Sintros, they're animals.
What a little
And I
shit.
hope the Ewoks cook you up in a roaring fire, you orange mop head cock. Now, I'm theorizing here, but it would appear that the casting director hired this kid not based on his acting ability, more his resemblance to Mark Hamill. Yeah,
It's been verified, that's
Jesus,
what reason.
right? He's like Luke Jr. Same haircut, same outfit. Some of his dialogue is even similar.
Hey, you're wasting time.
We're wasting our time.
Oh, but the names of these characters.
But he doesn't
are
have the
kind of
charm.
interesting. The girl is called Sindel.
Mommy and Daddy are alive.
Too bad you
Huh.
will die.
And the boy's name? Mace.
No, Mace, no.
Yeah, this kid beat you to the punch there, Sam.
Who the fuck is this ass?
Though speaking of swearing like a motherfucker, I'm convinced the Ewoks curse in this.
Benefits of having a fake language.
Sure sounds like an F-bomb to me.
My fucking ears.
Now, once I got to the halfway mark in this movie, I came to an early conclusion. In that, if you took away the Ewoks, nothing in this film would tell you it's a Star Wars product. Actually, you know what? I'd go a step further. Outside of the ship they crash land, and maybe Mace's blaster, nothing would tell you it's sci-fi. In fact, this movie is just straight up fantasy. From the setting, to the soundtrack, to the many borrowed tropes of the genre. To start, there's the titular Caravan of Courage, which is a group of Ewoks that accompany and protect our young heroes on a journey across the land. Am I watching Star Wars or Fellowship of the fucking Ewoks?
I can see that. Great
I
score.
believe I'm watching Star Wars here. What do you think, Charlie?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd call it sci-fi / fantasy.
You've also got other...
Weird how those
fantasy
often go
tropes,
hand in
but
hand.
none are really explained or integrated into the world very well. Like, there's this thing they do where all the members of the caravan get given an item. And all these items have completely unexplained prophecies connected to them. Now, Mace gets a rock. Just a boring old rock.
It's just a
Or so we
plain
think.
old stupid rock.
I know it's a rock!
And so, he discards it thinking it's useless. But then the time comes for him to get the rock out, as it apparently will help him get into the key
Yep.
his parents are held.
Arrogant little
And,
boy.
well, he left it behind. Oh shit. So I guess Mace will have to learn a lesson. And maybe make up for it by using his ingenuity to find another way into the key.
Look, these took.
The rock. You picked it up. You saved it for me.
All turns out Wicket had been holding on to it for safekeeping all
Warwick
this time.
Davis to the rescue.
Yeah, what was the point of that scene?
I don't know.
And you'll be asking that very
Just
question.
show that Wicket
Grant.
is helpful.
There's just so much pointless stuff that happens that continuously grinds the bare-bone plot to a halt. And it makes sense why the movie is like this, as it was originally intended as only a half-hour special, but the network wasn't interested in anything that wasn't...
Not sure that would have worked.
So they decided to artificially inflate the runtime. And this results in the film's structure becoming a bit repetitive. They walk, something random happens. They walk, something random happens.
Hurry. Push. Hurry.
Why are they talking about furries and kush? They walk and guess what? Something random happens.
Nothing like an axe throwing dick measuring contest.
But sometimes they walk and something very random happens.
You see his reflection still there.
Yeah, you see what I mean? How this is more fantasy than it is Star Wars? I mean, immediately, I'm reminded of the Dead Marshes here. But with the Dead Marshes, at least Gollum sets them up a bit and explains why they're so deadly.
Hobbits go down to join the dead ones.
But here, there's no explanation. The water on the moon of Endor apparently just wants you dead. Thank God Luke and everyone didn't fancy a dip.
I tend to agree with you.
Oh, and quick tip, guys. If you're gonna have one of your characters disappear, you might also want to remove their reflection while you're at
Yeah!
it. And the other scenes can be just as random. Sorry, I'm gonna be using that word a lot.
Nothing wrong with it.
Like there's this scene where Mace has to do some sort of magic test. He holds a crystal in his palm and...
What the?
Oh, yeah.
Weird.
Don't follow.
And then Sindel...
He loves using the Mel
And
Brooks.
she makes it turn into a mouse?
I've actually forgotten some of this movie.
So what does that mean? Look, I swear to you, they go nowhere with this. What are you trying to convey here? Are you saying that lizards are bad and mice are good? Or that this is supposed to be a representation of their character? Like Mace is a...
Boys choose reptiles,
Scale
girls choose
character?
mice.
Where are you going with this? I don't get it.
I don't understand.
Oh, and yeah, this goes without saying. Since when does the Star Wars universe have Earth animals? They're all over the place here. Rabbits, horses,
Well, TV budget.
goats, chickens, ferrets, demon llama.
Demon llama?
Ah! Oh, and
I
then
love these clips.
there's this scene. Tink, what are you doing in Star Wars?
Yeah!
Yeah, this scene continues the theme of randomness. And seriously, only someone high off their ass could possibly hope to describe the following course of events. Alright, sure. A bunch of Tinkerbells show up, right?
Bob.
Shindel then pops down a candle she got earlier, the Tinkerbells all go into the candle, and then Mish finds a Tinkerbell on its own and decides to adopt it and calls it Ezerina.
Right.
It's so random. You don't know the.
Why?
You don't know the.
Where?
You don't know the.
What?
You don't know the. Oh! Stuff in this movie just.
It's like the little red ball from
Like,
Star
what this
Chaser.
reminds me of is a rule that Matt Stone and Trey Parker use when they write South Park.
What should happen between every beat that you've written down is either the word therefore or but. It should be this happens, and therefore this happens. But this
Great
happens,
video to
therefore
highlight.
This happens. If the words and then belong between those beats, you're
Caravan of Courage is 100% guilty of the and then form of storytelling. There's just no cause and effect here. Like, take Lord of the Rings, another fantasy film where they go on an adventure and you can totally describe the plot of that with words like therefore and but. They set off from Rivendell, but Saruman is watching the road to the south. Therefore, they try to pass over the mountain, but Saruman blocks their way. Therefore, they go through Moria, but they lose Gandalf in the process. This is good storytelling. But with Caravan of Courage, they set off to save Mum and Dad, and then another Ewok joins them, and then another Ewok joins them, and then Mace gets trapped underwater, and then a horse gets spooked with Sindel still inside, and then they meet a bunch of Tinkerbells. It's not good. And to top it off, we then get the most ridiculously whimsical, cheesiest scene you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah, this is definitely, like I said, very campy.
Suddenly, George Lucas wanting to sell Star Wars to Disney makes a whole lot more sense now. Oh, but prepare yourself for this ensuing dialogue.
I think she giggles.
I think she eats
What the
giggles.
fuck?
That is the worst piece of dialogue that has ever been uttered in the history of Star Wars.
Are you an angel?
No, Giggles is worse.
Love
Yep,
will save you, Pat.
I agree.
Only my
Good
new
point.
power can do that.
No, I have found a new winner.
That's how we're gonna win. Not fighting what we hate. Saving what we love.
Okay, I think she eats Giggles is the second worst piece of Star Wars dialogue ever.
Terrible.
Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker,
Well,
they are the worst.
fine. But the suits aren't up to snuff here. I mean, sometimes they look okay, but many of the masks don't move. I mean, some do, but most can't blink or emote or even move their mouths. It's a little off-putting. How
Well,
would you like
1984.
this review without ever blinking, smiling, or emoting whatsoever? Come play with us, Danny. Mercifully, however, Lucasfilm learned their mistake with the Wookiees in the holiday special, as here we actually get given narration from Bill Ives of all people to clue us in. Yeah, the guy who narrated that Rudolph cartoon from the 60s, he steps in and goes all David Attenborough on us.
In an Ewok village on the moon of Endor, Deej tries to summon two of his sons who went into the woods and have not returned.
And here we see the unassuming
Is he
Ewoks
on painkillers?
falling down, while the viewer is mercifully unaware that the poor actors inside the suits are roasting their bollocks off. Look, despite my numerous ramblings, Caravan of Courage is actually alright. I definitely have made it out worse than it is.
That's
it's
fair.
It's an inoffensive good time for the kids, and it's got that Labyrinth Willow vibe that I kind of gelled with. I couldn't help but admire the 80s-ness of it. Some honestly will find this movie a
I
bit
totally
dull,
agree.
but there's worse ways to spend 90 minutes. If you shut your brain off, it's fine. So how about the sequel? Yeah,
Here we go.
Get over how a movie about Han Solo didn't get a sequel, but the one about the fucking Ewoks did.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And we only had to wait 1 year for it, because in 1985, ABC aired Ewoks, The Battle for Endor. And
Here we go.
let me set the scene here. Mace and Sindel have just saved their parents. They're partying with the Ewoks. The day is saved. Happily ever after. And within the first 10 minutes of the sequel, a group of marauders attack the Ewok village. All the Ewoks are taken captive. The mother is killed. The father is killed. Mace is killed.
Yeah.
Only poor little
Just-
Sindel, the lone survivor of her family. Jesus!
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I mean,
I don't think any of us were.
we
Took the
went
original
from-
ending and just stomped on it.
The whole family of a sweet, innocent 5-year-old girl are all dead. Holy shit, that is dark. And boy, that sure shits all over the first movie a bit though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But then to spend an entire hour-and-a-half film
Makes it
saving
almost
their
pointless.
family, only for them and their son to die in the first 10 minutes in the next movie. Sorry, I know I'm dwelling on this, but this is shocking. It'd be like a sequel to Terminator 2 where John Connor died in the first 10 minutes.
Well.
I mean, that would be really stupid. And look, I was thinking they were tricking us.
I wonder if he's
Mason
referencing that
Instance dies off screen,
Terminator Dark
so I was
Fate.
thinking he was going to make a surprise comeback at the end. But no, they're dead. They're all very permanently dead.
Yep.
And I actually respect that decision. Modern Star Wars, take note. Okay, well, what happens next then? Because you've at least intrigued me, movie. Okay, so here's what goes down. Poor Sindel escapes captivity with Wicket. By the way, Wicket is still played by Warwick Davis, and he speaks a basic level of English now.
Sindel live. Wicked live.
Well, maybe they taught him.
Must escape.
Yeah, an 80s film that stars a small child that forms a relationship with an alien creature. I wonder who George got this idea from. Anyway, the two make a run for it.
Wouldn't be
And we
surprised.
come across this weird monkey-like creature who for some reason has the power of Roadrunner.
Starts out a little annoying, but he grows on you.
Why the fuck not? Also, am I the only one who's seeing a resemblance here? I might be going crazy, but to me, he looks a bit like Rob Brydon. I'm sure he would be flattered to know a Star Wars character was modelled after him. Oh, and if you haven't seen this movie, you'll never guess in a month of Sundays who this monkey thing lives with. Wilford fucking Brimley.
Yeah!
In Star Wars. Right, this is the greatest film ever made.
Stay out of those pies and save some for tomorrow.
Huh, I guess that would explain the diabetes.
I've eaten apple pie and I'm not
Yeah, he had to do it.
So, Sindel
I mean, hey,
goes on
he
to
was a
live
badass
with
and
monkey
hard
and
target with
Wilford
Van
Brimley.
Damme.
Did I just say that out loud? As one day, Sindel gets lured by one of the villains disguising themselves as someone else while they call out her name.
You gonna do Spaceballs?
Mommy?
Wow, turns out that scene in space was spoofing an actual Star Wars scene.
That's fucking trippy.
So, Divatox's less talented cousin here takes her hostage, as it's up to the rest of our heroes to rescue her. But we ain't got a Jedi, we ain't got a Mandalorian, all we got is Wilford motherfucking Brimley.
Yeah!
Easy kind of life. And a hard
All he needs is a bow and arrow.
Die hard.
Okay, so how is Battle for Endor? Well, it's an honest-to-God improvement. Yeah, it's a much better film. And I'd go as far as to say, I think this film's a little underappreciated. Yeah, I mean, it's not a classic or an absolute must-watch or anything. It's not up there with the 80s fantasy greats, but I'm glad I checked it out. First off, I like the cast. Wilford Brimley is quite likeable. Starting
Naturally.
off as a bit of a grumpy curmudgeon, but he takes a warming to Sindel as he becomes a father-like figure to her. It's
Maybe
basic,
granddad.
but nice character development, which the first film completely lacked.
And if you remember all the things he said to you, and if you remember how much he loved you, then he'll never be gone.
You know, Wilford Brimley would have made a great Santa Claus. Like, this screams Santa to me.
I can see
It's
that.
really quite wholesome.
My star keeps me company.
Okay, maybe this is now getting a bit too wholesome. Stop!
She's not god-awful, but sometimes the little kid acting gets a bit much.
Reminded me of a lot of things that hadn't yet come out. From this bit.
Run, Forrest, run!
to this scene where Sindel and Wicket follow Brimley, which reminded me of a level from Spyro 2.
I'm not leaving unless you hide behind that tree so you can't see me. What? You managed to get here without following me? You must be a member of my secret club after all.
And then there's the major villain, who's
This guy was creepy.
kind of like a cross between Planet of the Apes and Urukai.
Good makeup.
Though, yeah, whenever this character is on screen, my heart went out to the poor actor underneath. Sounds like he's getting suffocated underneath that thing.
Are you not the guy enough the power?
Yeah, that mask is not working. It's just got no articulation in the mouth. You can make him say anything.
That's fair.
I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt.
And in terms of other things I didn't like, I would call out something I don't think they could have done anything about. And that's the lack of emotional weight in Sindel's family all dying.
Mommy, Mace, they're dead.
Yeah, you see what I mean? The amount of trauma that this would realistically put on someone is far beyond a 5-year-old actor's ability to convey. Apparently,
well,
Joe
what can you
wanted to
do?
go down the route of making Sindel an orphan after he watched a film called Heidi with his daughter Amanda, which is also about an orphan moving in with a hermit-like character. So it was decided to make Sindel
Is
an
that
orphan,
Shirley
and
Temple?
young Amanda Lucas also inspired this decision, as she took a liking to her in the first film. And so the then 5-year-old Aubrey Miller got a lead role in a feature-length movie. That has to be a record, right? I don't recall any other film having a lead that young. Let me know in the comments if I'm missing someone. And because of this, I have to say, I think she does a damn good job. Sure, her acting is a little hit and miss in the first film, but in this sequel, I think she's improved. Plus, she's
maybe a
super
little.
adorable. And because of the sheer hell her character goes through, you can't help but root for her. So how does Battle for Endor end? Well, they managed to break Sindel and the Ewoks out of prison, as the Ewoks then take on the Marauders while Brimley powers up his ship. It's a fun sequence, quite reminiscent
Great
of
ending,
Jedi's
great
battles.
action.
We get Ewok traps, we get Rob Brydon Monkey acting like Sonic the Hedgehog, we get Wilford Brimley beating up an orc with a stick. How can you not enjoy this? Now, yeah,
Impossible.
I didn't really understand how the villain was
Yeah, that's...
defeated in the end.
I didn't get that.
Magical ring somehow turns him to stone. I don't know. By this point of my viewing, I was too drunk to care. But still, I was pleasantly surprised by Battle for Endor. It fixes nearly all of the issues that plagued the first film, with the major one being the pacing. Because unlike Caravan of Courage, you can actually describe the plot here with words like therefore and but. Sindel makes a run for it.
Like how he uses Trey and Matt's working style.
Plan to allow them to escape. But they're hungry and tired. Therefore, they seek refuge at Brimley's house. But Brimley isn't happy with them being there. Therefore, they get kicked out. But Brimley has a change of heart, and so on. It's much better writing. Also, it's kind of interesting to view Battle for Endor from a modern viewpoint. Like, Carol here is confirmed to be a Night Sister from Dathomir, making Battle for Endor the very first time we see one. Also, in Legends, Sindel grows up to become a journalist working on Coruscant. Is it weird that I want to see a show about that now? You know, a series similar in the vein to something like Tokyo Vice, but it's in the Star Wars universe. That sounds fascinating to me. Like with the Empire in power, and a journalist gets a scoop on a story that exposes their wrongdoings. A journalist character showing up in later seasons of Endor could be cool.
Might be a bit of a
Expose
stretch.
the Empire's wrongdoings to drum up more support for the rebellion, and make that character an adult Sindel. That'd be cool. Hell, Aubrey Miller, I found out, is apparently now working as an intern at a local television news station. She's basically a journalist in real life. What are the odds? Get Miller back at Disney. I want to see what Sindel's up to. I mean, it's a testament to how surprisingly decent this film is that I'm beyond curious as to where its main character ended up. Good on you, Battle for Endor. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks everyone for watching, and if you
There's my name.
that must mean you are a patron. Thank you guys for the incredible support. And allow me to thank my top tier patrons by name, and their names are Hayden Redmond, Ryan Massey, Matthew Tangeman, Dr. Ten, Mark Tonner, Gregorio Vasquez, Max Stahl, Goldsbro TSG, Jake, Ewan Hurst, Jacob Matthew Crawford, Christian Mishka, and last but not least, Stefanos Sujiputra. Thank you ever so much for the support. New Q&A video will be up soon, so take care guys, and I shall see you there.
I'm looking forward to that. For those who don't know, he's doing a Q&A video where he is answering fan questions, particularly Patreon fan questions, and some of them are going to be video, like fans who film themselves will get to appear in the video, and I'm looking forward to it because I tried that, and curious to see how it comes out. But anyway, before I get off track, the Ewok movies. Whew, it's been maybe over 10 fucking years since I've seen these movies, and I had actually forgotten a couple of things, particularly with Caravan of Courage. Like, I only recently remembered the Tinker Bell animation crap. Forgot just how, kiddie, like, the dialogue is. And I agree, like, they're kids, they shouldn't get complete shit thrown their way. I mean, I absolutely detest what happened with Jake Lloyd, but, yeah, the boy, his acting is just unbelievably awkward, and Audrey, I can't remember in the moment, Miller, she has her bad moments, but they do give her some reasonably strong emotional stuff in the battle for Endor. See my notes? Yeah, apparently the usual suspect is more prophetic for future movie shit than The Simpsons is. And I agree that the practical effects, stop motion, while it does look a little cheesy at times, I love seeing that, I can appreciate it. The Coming to America clip of Samuel L. Jackson being like, "Who the fuck is this asshole?" That might be my favorite joke of this video. The Fellowship of the Ewoks, that was pretty good. The pond scene, I know I said it before he pointed out, but yeah, there's a lot of effects goofs, whether it be the reflection still in the pond, and he didn't show it here, but there's a giant spider scene in Caravan of Courage where you can totally see all of the strings. Like, they don't even try to hide them. It's just, like, it's funny in a Ed Wood kind of way. I loved him showing that good video of Trey Parker and Matt Stone explaining their writing process. It seems like it'd be difficult advice to follow to a T, but it is decent writing advice. And I loved his use of the and then and therefore but metaphors, ways of writing. And yeah, the opening for Battle of Endor was shockingly brutal. It's like, it just gives a big middle finger to the first movie's happy little ending. Wilford Brimley, as I said, when you've seen his work in the Van Damme movie, Hard Target, where he plays a bow and arrow wielding Frenchman on a horse, you know this guy can be a very unconventional but fucking awesome action hero. And the villain, yeah, it's a little hard to understand him, but he looks cool. The finale, it's no Return of the Jedi, but it is also an equally awesome kick-ass, slam, bang fucking finale. The villain's death, yeah, I don't fully get it either. And last of my notes here, his idea of a journalist, a Star Wars show about a journalist, I'm not sure if that would work. You'd have to be very good with the writing. I mean, surprises happen, but I don't know, it's hard to say. Star Wars, I love Star Wars, and I saw these when most others hadn't, when I was very young, and I got into it very well. I enjoyed it a ton in the campiest sense of the word, but after Rise of Skywalker, which I fucking hated, like, of all the theatrically released Star Wars movies, I consider it the worst. The Star Wars Holiday Special is probably worse than Rise of Skywalker, but Episode 9, that was just goddamn awful, and after that I decided I am not completely done, but I am not going to watch any more Star Wars shit for a while. That movie kind of just dragged me down a bit, and I will openly admit I haven't seen any of the current shows that they've been doing. I remember they were putting out the prequel theatrical Star Wars movies in between the new sequel trilogy, and all I could think was, way too fucking much. Like, pace yourself, damn it! And maybe I'll check out the new shows someday, but right now if I go back to Star Wars, it'll probably be with the originals, and overall it was fun to revisit the Ewok movies. They're not perfect, but if you're a kid, I think you can get into them reasonably well. And I think The Usual Suspect, this was a great video, covered them very well. Great insertions of movie clips, The Emperor's New Groove, the tradition of The Simpsons. They were all just fucking dynamite, and I'm curious what he will like us after the Patreon video, what his next multi-film video will be, and I hope you enjoyed this reaction. I'm filming this, as always, at a late hour. I had to actually chug some coffee before I started, and I did a bike ride today, so I'm actually kind of achy in certain parts, and I guess that's a good place to end. I will see you again, hopefully soon.